Good afternoon, Central Oregon and beyond. This is Josh coming at you with episode 3 of Apres Chats, my podcast all about the ski industry, sports and outdoors, and so much more. Here in Central Oregon, we all love getting outside to play. Whether you're up in the mountains, down on the lakes or rivers, out climbing, or whatever it is, we like to get out there, have some fun, but afterwards we like to come down, crack a cold one with the boys or girls, and sit back and have some Apres Chats. Today I'm sitting down with my good friend Aaron Fudge. He's a local pro patroller up on Mount Bachelor. He's been in town for about 6 years, and overall he's just a really cool dude. We're going to be talking about all the pros and cons of ski patrol and so much more than that. So sit back, crack a cold one, and get ready for some Apres Chats. Good afternoon, Central Oregon and beyond. This is Josh coming back at you with another episode of Apres Chats. Today I am joined with my good friend Aaron Fudge. He is one of our pro patrollers up on Mount Bachelor. He's a really cool dude. You see him around the mountain all the time, busting his ass to make sure that operations keep running smoothly for us. Aaron, I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit though. Tell everybody about yourself. Tell everybody what you do, where you're from, who you are, anything you want them to know.
Cool. Well, first off, thanks Josh for having me. It's a beautiful day in the park here. My name's Aaron. I'm a pro patroller at Bachelor, like Josh said, and basically a ranch hand on skis with some medical stuff on the side.
Yeah, I remember you told me that exact quote last year, and I thought that was one of the best ways to describe a pro patrol.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of carrying heavy stuff, tying lots of rope lines, making sure that like hazards are marked off, people are being safe out there. A lot of that.
Absolutely.
And plenty of skiing in between. A
lot of skiing in between. I imagine you get a lot of the really good fresh tracks, especially on a good summit day.
On a good summit day, there's quite a bit of work involved, but eventually you get that one run that makes it all worth it.
Absolutely. For anybody who's retuning in, as you can see, if you're on YouTube, this is the first time we're bringing a video component into this. If you're listening on Spotify and you're interested about that, cruise on over to YouTube. Hopefully the video editing goes smoothly and this is all edited in there. And hopefully that wind isn't getting us too much. We are down here at Pine Nursery recording. Of course, this is kind of designed to be an on-scene recording setup, so yeah, you know, we're just kind of figuring out the nuances, but we are coming off of a pretty hefty week of work for you. Rendezvous was just this last weekend. We've got storms after storms rolling in because we can't have a clear weather Rendezvous. How was your Rendezvous experience?
Well, classic Rendezvous. I think this really speaks to how hardy our local people really are, and the van life community in general, and how each year it just keeps getting worse and worse as far as weather goes. Or it's just different every year, I guess. But everybody really is resilient about it and loves it, and people still have a great time. For me, it was a lot of setting up and breaking down later and earlier than usual for us. Stayed open until 7, obviously, for 2 days, which was so cool to see so many people actually utilizing that and getting out even in the storm.
I think the hardest time I have with Rendezvous is deciding if I want to ski or if I want to listen to music at that point in the day.
It is a hard decision for sure. The opera actually kind of seems to bleed into the during in that situation.
It definitely kind of does. There's a little bit of everything going on all at once. I was hoping to try to record a couple of these up there, but given the weather that we had, that made it a little bit harder. Unless I wanted to shove people into the ambulance with me, but that becomes tight quarters real quick.
Yeah, it gets a little squished.
But so like you said, you know, ranch hand on skis, just go through for us real quick, like a typical day in the life of a Mount Bachelor ski patroller.
Yeah, I think some of my pro patrol friends will laugh at this one, but pro patrolling day starts the night before. You know, you're getting a good night's sleep, getting your good calories in and whatnot for the next day. You're checking the weather constantly, looking at the webcams constantly, as I'm sure all you guys are as well.
Absolutely.
You know, it's kind of the same kind of thing as a dedicated local. You're getting into it. But to start the day, throwing boots on and then heading out on the hill and just making sure that all the runs are safe, all the grooming came out okay.
What time do you guys usually hit the chairlifts in the morning?
Oh man, that's got to be 8 o'clock usually.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not as early as many people think. We kind of rush through our setup pretty hard.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit of work to happen in an hour.
I imagine.
Or 55 minutes for some of the people that know. Not 9 o'clock first chair, it's 8:55.
Yep. Always pops just a little bit earlier, or at least on a good day it does.
Yeah.
What time on a good summit day, what time do you guys usually try to get up on top of the hill and get that rolling?
So we're usually coming in about an hour earlier for that.
Okay.
So usually on Pine Martin by 7, on summit by 7:15. and then going through our whole rigmarole of our summit mission.
Fair enough. Yeah. I imagine that's a lot of work, and I know you guys get a lot of grief for timing on that one or how it all works out. But
yeah, timing and safety are two things that don't coincide very well with each other.
No, not necessarily. And I imagine that's a lot of work to get that summit chair running between bombing the bowl, making sure booze all set out, making sure everything's all dialed in.
Yeah, for sure. And like shout out to lift maintenance more than anything.
Oh yeah.
I mean, before we can get up there to even set up everything, signage and bamboo and knocking all the rime off everything, they need to knock the rime off the lift itself.
Yeah.
Put all the chairs back on it to even get us up there.
It's a lot of work to get that one chair running.
Yeah.
So to anybody out there listening, if you're wondering why Summit takes a while sometimes, there is a good reason.
There's usually a good reason why Summit isn't open.
Yeah. So how long have you been at Mount Bachelor specifically?
I started in 2018 in food and beverage, so this is actually just finishing up my 6th season at Mount Bachelor.
And how many years have you been Pro Patrol?
5 years.
5 years, okay. So you did food and beverage for the first year, and then did you ever work patrol anywhere else before that? Or
I did not, no. I actually got like my wilderness first responder back in 2016, and just kind of held that, like hoping to eventually ski patrol.
Yeah.
And that was back east.
Ski patrol was a dream of yours for quite a while,
for sure,
though.
yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, you see how often they get to ski.
Yeah,
and that's all
totally
I wanted to do. So if you can get paid to do it, you might as well.
And has the dream been living up to everything you thought it was going to be?
It was a lot different than I was anticipating for sure, but it's definitely living up to it.
Good,
yeah.
good. What brought you out to Where were you at on the East Coast before you came out here?
Yeah, I was in Massachusetts, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, really densely populated, minimal public land.
Yeah.
Access to that, at least.
Where did you learn how to ski out there?
Oh, man, I was mostly at Loon and Sunday River quite a bit.
Okay,
Cranmore, cool. Yeah, some smaller New Hampshire, Maine mountains.
Nice. Yeah, definitely places I'd like to check off the bucket list someday.
But totally worth it.
Yeah, awesome. And then what brought you out straight over to Central Oregon from Massachusetts?
Well, kind of those same things I just mentioned about Mass, like densely populated, lack of public land, and just seeing Bend be this. My partner owns a dog walking business, so Deschutes Pack, little shout out.
Shout out to Deschutes Pack.
She saw how prevalent dogs were here, how incredible that was, and just the access to all that land and recreation. And just out here.
Had you two ever been out here before? Or?
No, we had never visited. No, we hopped in a van, actually, drove around for 2 months and landed in Bend.
That's amazing.
That was about it. We had planned on coming here, but had never visited. So
that's awesome. And your first season, you just knew you wanted to start out up a Bachelor straight up?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the goal, was to just get up on the mountain as much as I could.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. How have, I mean, obviously things change every year, and it's a shifting industry. We all kind of are very aware of that. But in the 6 years that you've been involved, have there been a lot of changes in the ski patrol world specifically, especially like, in today's liability happy world and sue happy world? And have you noticed a lot of changes over your time, even your short 5 years at Bachelor?
I mean, I think it's, like you said, it's an ever-evolving plane, right? This industry is always changing. I think it's been kind of weird to see the lack of visitorship happening and, people dropping off. Yeah. But as far as people being too happy, that's always going to be a thing.
I know,
Welcome to America.
Welcome to America, indeed. On a day-to-day basis, what do you think your number one asked question is as a ski patroller?
I think, so day-to-day, a lot of people say, asking the same questions that we are right now. Hey, what time do you guys get here?
Yeah, right.
Or what do you do?
It's a lot of moving bamboo around at the end of the day.
It's a lot of carrying heavy stuff. Yeah, for sure.
How often do you get asked why Summit isn't open?
See, that's the difference, right? So when it comes to, it's not your typical locals. They understand the reasons. If you can't really see up there, you can't really ski up there.
Yeah.
Can't see it, can't ski it. And a lot of people from out of town don't quite understand how the upper mountain works. So that's kind
there's
of
no trees, there's no depth perception.
You can't see anything. The ping pong ball.
And I think more importantly than us being able to ski it at a certain level, I can ski blind, but for you guys to safely do the work you have to do to get it open, you have to be able to see.
Yeah. When you're handling explosives, there's definitely certain precautions you want to be taking, for sure. And seeing is one of those.
Were you able to handle the explosives on your first season, or did you have to work up to being on the bomb squad?
Yeah, so you kind of got to work your way up to that. Your first season is really dedicated to just understanding the job and trying to get a grass, like Bachelor's so big, man. Cloud Chaser to
Massive.
Northwest, even that lower mountain is like, that's an absurd amount of acreage to be able to understand.
I believe we just got knocked out of 5th largest in the United States, but I know we're easily still in the top 10.
Oh, we are definitely still in the top 10, yeah, for sure. But it's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of moving parts. Yeah, you move your way up.
Yeah.
That's kind of the same thing with all of it, right? Like,
so how long have you gotten to throw the dynamite for now?
It's been about 4 years. So your second year, you usually get to shadow, and then your third year, you start going out a little bit more regularly.
Nice.
But it also has to do with like how often do we get Summit open?
Yeah,
you know,
right. Just depends on the season. It depends on the weather.
Yeah.
But is that like super fun though?
You know, it's fun to ski afterwards, but to be quite honest with you, you're dealing with things that could kill you.
That's fair.
So,
no,
like,
absolutely.
as fun as it seems and as exhilarating as it is,
it's
like,
an adrenaline kind of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not like the roller coaster fun.
Yeah, absolutely. the more you do it, the more you realize like what you're handling. Like, there's great standard operating procedure, right? Like
I imagine
have some very dialed stuff going on, so it's good. But it's also, when you realize what you're handling and what you're dealing with, it's a whole nother story.
Right.
Yeah.
So that brings me, I guess, to another question I had for you. What is one of your favorite memories of being a ski patroller in the last 5 years?
Oh man, really, I think it's an ever evolving memory of this whole thing, right?
Just
but
the
I guess
nostalgia of
something
looking back at the
specific,
moments.
like, is definitely like the unbelievably deep pow days where you sweat your absolute butt off for hours, and then you go get that one run. And like, there's like, when we get Northwest Open, usually it's around there that time of year, I create that one like memory that I hold on to for the season.
Dude, just a good Northwest day is always so good.
You can't beat it. That's
those first
definitely my
tracks on the
favorite
lift
zone.
line, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
People always are trying to go so far out. I'm like, it's early. You got so much fresh snow right there in Sparks, man.
I spend a lot of time going so far.
Which I don't blame you. Yeah, you got to go for it, like, especially on lap 3 or 4.
Oh yeah,
I understand that, but first lap,
dude,
you get the most vert just dropping right there.
Oh, it's so good, man. It's so good. So a kind of similar question, but what is one of your wildest moments in ski patrol? Like, what's one of the craziest moments, I mean, that you're willing and able to talk about as well? Like, I'm sure there's some moments that you don't really like to reminisce on, but
I mean, that's part of it, but I appreciate the clarification. I'd say one of the wildest is some of the cowboy snowmobiling that we have to do in order to get people to the places that we need to get to open the mountain. Yeah, sometimes when it's that white out, blowing 70 miles an hour, and you can see 10 feet in front of your face.
And you know there's a drop-off somewhere in there.
You know there's a wind wave coming. You don't know when, but it's coming.
Yeah.
But like, just being able to know the mountain that well and being able to do that. There's a couple days this year that I did tow a couple patrollers up. Shout out Johnny Schmidt. And just holding on for dear life. But like knowing where you're at the same time, and just like
you're just going for it,
finding it. Yeah, like it's gonna be there. You know that wind fence is there somewhere.
Oh man, there's sometimes I'm out there on Bachelor, just like I know where I'm at, and you're just like, I know there's a drop off coming. Yep. I just have no idea when I'm gonna go off.
It could be 10 feet in front of you. It could be 20 feet out there.
Yeah, I think it's something interesting with Bachelor that a lot of people don't realize is we are kind of a coastal mountain, so we get a lot of that whiteout conditions.
Yeah, for sure. That maritime snowpack is definitely very intense storms.
Yeah, very intense storms and very changing conditions. I mean, I imagine you get to talk with other patrollers from other resorts pretty regularly. Is that something that's a little more unique to dealing with on the snowpack out west over here versus like some folks in Colorado and stuff?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're all like bug-eyed that we're still working and open. And I mean, there's obviously a few like A Basin and places like that are going to be open for sure. Yeah, there's those high elevation people. But yeah, we definitely have a totally different ball game. Like, you're not really worried about rocks this time of season anywhere, right? Like, maybe on the west wall, but...
Yeah, I mean, if you know the right spot, you can find the rocks.
Always find the rocks.
Trust me, Powderhouse knows I'm really good at finding rocks.
But on my skis would talk about that, too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously, we're coming to the end of the season. We got a few weeks left. Is there anything in particular you're excited about in these next few weeks before the season's over? Is there a favorite springtime activity you enjoy getting into?
I mean, volcano season, right?
Yeah.
It's all, and the 2 sport days. They're great, but I mean, obviously, we're not really getting those at the moment.
Not
it's kind
quite
of a
yet.
bummer.
Yeah,
but
the storm's still been pretty at it. I know you haven't been up the last couple days after your 60-hour Rendez Van week.
It was a heck of a week, but like, this is what makes it the Pacific Northwest Classic. We're going to be able to ski till July this year at this
easily,
point,
yeah.
which is incredible. So, like, even though we're not getting it right now, the corn season's coming.
Oh, for sure.
It'll be here.
What's your favorite second sport for a day?
Oh, mountain biking for sure. Yeah.
I figured you were going to go that route because you do mountain bike patrol as well, right?
I do. That's been something I actually started with. So that was the first season when I was food and beverage. I was also picking up one day on bike patrol.
Okay, gotcha.
Which was like a really cool way to get pretty good at bikes. That was really fun.
Is that your full-time summer gig as well, or do you do something else also?
So this is actually going to be my first season not doing mountain bike patrol. I'm kind of bummed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was a really cool experience for the last 5 years of mountain biking during the summer, like all day on lift service. It was pretty...
all day, every day, all year
Can't
on
beat
lift
that.
service.
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool
insane.
life.
Yeah. This season, I'm actually switching over to be an EMT wildland firefighter.
Oh, that'll be also a really cool experience. Get to see some cool stuff.
I think so. Yeah, it'll be a new experience, and that's really kind of what I'm looking for. To be a rookie again and kind of broaden my emergency medicine scope a little bit.
Yeah.
And go do some different things in that world. Just kind of build that resume.
Try to do something different.
Yeah.
Are you looking to stay on Pro Patrol for the foreseeable future still, though?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll be back next winter.
Nice.
No doubt
Just kind of
about
do
that.
something different in the summer times and then keep coming back for the skiing.
Yeah, I think that it's, like I said, just kind of building that resume, because ski patrolling won't be forever. Unfortunately, there's just not a full career that can happen.
Totally understand that.
But, there are niche spots that you could make it happen. But I think that the first responder medicine career is definitely for me, and
very cool.
We'll move in that direction.
I'm assuming ski patrolling was your kind of first intro into that kind of world of
it was.
EMT and first responder vibes.
Yeah, so I was a wilderness first responder, which a lot of people listening, I'm sure, might know what a woofer is.
Yep.
And that's kind of the entryway to first responder medicine if you wanted to like start being a lifeguard or something like that as well. And then that kind of just snowballed, no pun intended, into...
I think the pun was a little intended.
Grabbing my EMT a couple years into ski patrolling, just because I realized that getting on some scenes that were a bit gnarly was like, oh, I think I'd rather know a little bit more about this and kind of extend my training a bit, be a little bit more prepared.
The willingness to be able to be there and help other people is very commendable. And I mean, I get asked all the time if I want to be on ski patrol, and I just don't know if I could handle some of that,
Yeah, the medical side of it's a lot.
Yeah,
I think that's a pretty broad, good way to put it.
That's absolutely fair. I mean, from your perspective, being in that industry, do you see a lot of? Do you find more ski patrollers who are getting more burnt out on the work-life balance side, just in terms of like you said, it's not something that's easy to make a career out of,
right?
Or is it people kind of eventually moving past wanting to be the first ones on those kinds of scenes and stuff?
Honestly, I think a lot of people move on from ski patrolling into the medical world. Like, there's so many ski patrollers that are getting into nursing school, doing prereqs for nursing school while they're ski patrolling, just because like you can go part-time to school.
So many of them have that mindset already.
Yeah,
so.
totally. Like you said, you don't know if it's for you. And I think a lot of people have a pretty good idea of whether or not they're going to be okay with that kind of stuff.
Totally. It's I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely not for everybody, but I have so much respect for you guys out there doing it. Definitely needed a ride down to the toboggan last season myself, and thankfully it wasn't too major. But do you have any fun down day activities you like to do? I mean, obviously you're busting your ass between mountain biking and skiing and doing that year round. What's your favorite go-to like relaxation activity?
Walking the dogs.
That's a good one. What kind of dogs you got?
Sure. I got an Australian Shepherd. He is 4 years old, Clark. And then I got a little mutt mix.
I love the mutt mixes.
Jinx, It's great.
They're the best. And I mean, you live in a great spot right here by Pine Nursery.
It's not bad, and even out east isn't too far away, so it's pretty easy to just kind of skedaddle out of town and
absolutely
go run around the sagebrush.
Oh, totally. Nice. Yeah. Do you have any big volcano objectives coming up that you want to hit on this springtime and summertime that you haven't done yet, or ones that you want to return to?
Yeah, I'd love to get back down to Shasta.
Ooh,
that'd be pretty incredible. I've been wanting to ski that and Lassen, just south of there as well. I've skied Shasta, cool. But I want to get a little further south. Would be pretty awesome.
Very cool. What's your favorite one you've done so far?
Probably Shasta. Got to ski the Trinity chutes down to Avalanche Gulch, and it was just It was great corn skiing.
That's awesome.
Beginning of June.
Pretty limited season to ski Shasta, from my understanding, right?
It can be, because it turns into a really long, I mean, it's a really long day no matter how you cut it. It's like 7,000 feet of vert and 7 miles. It's absurd. It's just an absolutely ridiculous day.
That is a grind of a day for sure. There was another question I had, and I forgot to type my question. This is the first time I've come in unprepared on one of these. Just kind of winging it.
You got these going, man. This is great.
We're working on it. There's a lot of moving pieces in every part of the ski industry. What are you looking forward to most for next ski season and the next couple of years after that?
I think Bachelor has a lot of plans for lifts over the next 5 years.
That's a good wind gust going right there. We'll wait for that to pass by. Like we said, it's spring. It's May 6th that we're recording this, and I was just skiing powder this morning. So
it's absolutely insane.
Yeah. So there's some big plans on chairlifts coming up.
For sure. I mean, I think just throwing that 6-pack in for Sky was an incredible move, and I think it's really helped during the holiday season. As much as it might not make a difference right now, it's huge for the holiday season. Really
I definitely feel like I noticed a difference on those busy days. Just those days where I know there would normally be a lift line there, and it just wasn't.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really cool. And I think that Bachelor's done a pretty good job at catching up on past problems with lifts, and that's kind of where they're these next few years we'll really see a cool transition. Where they've finally caught up on all the problems and are starting to redo things, and
for sure,
I'm looking forward to it.
Now I have an understanding, and you might have a little more insight to this. Someone a while ago told me that Bachelor basically has, or Powder Corp more so, has kind of their 10-year plans where they're, focusing on a couple resorts at a time, and we're really just starting to enter Bachelor's phase of development. Is that something you've heard about too much, or?
I mean, I'm probably sure I've heard about as much as the other person has on that stuff. I'm pretty low on the totem pole, but
fair enough.
Which is fine. That's right where I like to be.
Yeah, not too much responsibility, but you know just enough.
Yeah, being on they have a special use permit with the Forest Service, right? So they get to make the call generally on what's happening on that special use permit area, but they have to come up with that 10-year plan to give to the Forest Service to say, hey, this is what we're looking at doing.
Totally. And for anybody out there listening who didn't know, Bachelor does have a public domain 10-year plan that you can go and look at. So if you are curious about developments, lift ops, new lodges, literally any of those questions that a lot of locals like to complain the Bachelor is not actually doing, there's a plan out there. You can find it, you can look at it, you can read what the plan is. I know it shifts a lot. I believe originally Sunrise was supposed to be the 6-pack from my understanding, and then when Skyliner broke, that shifted a little bit.
Yeah, you kind of got to be, like everything in the ski industry, you got to be fluid and dynamic, especially on a mountain like Bachelor. You just never know what's going to happen up there, man.
It's always shifting.
Yeah.
Have you noticed a huge change in the 6 years that you've been here weather-wise coming into spring times and stuff?
Oh, absolutely. It's been kind of weird to think that over 6 seasons I'm already noticing such a crazy difference, and it's a consistent move over 6 years of just the whole ski season is moving.
It's shifted. November is less snow, and May is still freshies.
I'd say if we look at averages, we're talking a 2-week shift here.
Yeah,
which is pretty nuts.
That's kind of significant.
Yeah,
especially on that large of a scale.
Yeah, I mean, NOAA just reported we had the warmest winter ever. Again.
Just from a work perspective, obviously not diving too deep into the climate change conversation, because that can just make us all a little sad. But from a work perspective, do you kind of prefer the slower start to the season, or do you prefer to just get it all gunning and running right out of the gate and then have a nice mellow end to your season?
Mellow would be great. But there's nothing quite like getting thrown right into it. I think that's kind of a lot of fun.
For sure.
We all definitely enjoy it, because I think we're all kind of chomping at the bit in November anyway, right?
Well, I mean, by that time of the year, we're just ready. I'm just ready to do something besides hiking garbage glaciers for my turns all year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll do anything for it. And so I think ski patrollers are very much the same. We got there. We've just got to...
You're ready to...
Hell yeah, attitude. Let's go. Yeah. Ready for it. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully next season we'll get some more of that early snow that we were getting last year, especially.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when the storms did come in this year, they were,
oh my God,
they were gnarly.
Do you have a favorite day of this season?
It was probably the day we got Summit open with 2 feet of fresh, and it was just bluebird with zero wind.
Yeah.
I can't remember, it was March 3rd maybe.
I think something in there, yeah. I have a vague memory of that day too. It's kind of funny when you ski a lot of days, they blend together a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah. How many days are you at on your season?
Oh man, people are gonna hate me for this. I don't count.
You don't count?
I don't even count.
All right.
I can't anymore.
That's fair. I was the last episode of the podcast with Connor Duffy. For anybody who hasn't listened to that, feel free to go back and listen. We kind of touched on the conversation of how it's kind of a silly, arbitrary count that a lot of us have going. If it's what you go for, it's what you. Obviously, I count my days.
But even if it's not what you're going for, and it's just something you want to do, you don't have to like base your ski life off of it. But it's still a fun fact to know.
It is, yeah.
You know? I think if I
when
work
did you stop
5
counting?
days. Oh man, I stopped counting like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I think if I work 5 days a week all season, I end up getting 120 days, and I usually end up skiing 6 or 7 days a week.
That sounds about
So usually over 120 for sure.
I've been about 6 days a week, and I'm sitting around 145 right now, or something like that. So it's awesome. a lot of skiing
for sure.
How do your legs feel?
Exactly. Like if you get on like this really heavy snow, and you're like, I can do it. Like, I don't know. I think my legs are stronger than ever this time of year. It's November that I'm buckling my knees.
Oh my God, right? I have this weird in between where I feel like my legs are stronger than ever, but then also after like 4 or 5 days of solid riding and you get a heavy snowstorm and your legs are just like, dude, what are you doing?
I think it's also different. Like, I don't ski like you guys ski. I really don't. Like,
that's fair.
You you guys are out there lapping, and like I'm lapping in the morning and getting those setup laps done. So I'm probably doing like 5 to 10 back to back to back to back. Right?
Yeah.
And then you have a bump where you sit at the top of a lift, or you
and then you're
sit
chilling
dispatch and you chill for 2 hours. It's your dispatch. You're behind the phones, the radios, and all that. So
it's a different kind of day for sure.
It is. Yeah, it's a little bit slower than your typical ripping locals for sure. Yeah, it's a little bit slow. We're the long game of being able to do it. A lot,
from open to close,
open to close, 5 days a week. Yeah, it's like you kind of have to take that step back and take care of yourself a little bit. Yeah, as far as like being able to not be in pain on your Friday.
That is definitely important to do for sure. Yeah. So I've got just one last question that I can think of. Like I said, I came in a little unprepared. It's been a hectic weekend at Ronde Van and everything else. But I mean, the slogan at the end of every report is "Don't forget to enjoy every day, y'all."
Enjoy every day.
How do you enjoy every day, man?
Man, I enjoy every day by surrounding myself with people like yourself, Josh. Like, just this community is super cool. This afternoon, I'm going to go on an employee bachelor mountain bike ride. Go hang out with.
Where are you guys going?
Going to Lower Whoops.
Nice.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah, you got to get it.
Can't beat it.
How's the dirt been, by the way? I'm not much of a mountain biker, but...
Sure, yeah. I mean, anytime it's raining in Central Oregon, the dirt's incredible. Because otherwise, it's just
dust.
Yeah.
I deal with a lot of the dust in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Is there anybody you'd like to shout out? Any mentions you'd like to make before the end of the episode?
Oh man, just the whole Ski Patrol team, the whole Pro Patrol team. Our NSP counterparts are great people. Definitely appreciate them and Mount Bachelor in general. So thanks to the community and you as well, Josh.
Awesome, absolutely. I appreciate you coming down and sitting in the wind with me, having a little podcast episode. Hopefully this video goes well. I appreciate you and everything you guys do out there. The whole patrol team, like, obviously you guys work your asses off to keep idiots like me safe out there, and it does not go unnoticed. But yeah, I'm sure I'll see you on the slope soon. Everybody, thanks for tuning in and listening. If you want to find more of my content, don't forget to check out Josh Reports on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode. I got a couple of really cool interviews coming towards the end of the season, including a crazy French man who likes to throw himself off of things, and potentially the president of our own Mount Bachelor. Not entirely sure when I'm going to get each of those recorded, but they should be coming up soon. Thanks for tuning in. Follow along, leave comments, do all those fun things, and most important, my friends, do not forget to enjoy every day. Y'all, peace.